everyone, Pineaaronapple here with the latest episode of Doctor Who, Episode 6, Rogue. An episode that, while continuing an upward trend, has issues of its own, but I found to be a pretty fun romp. And let me tell you, I did my homework. I knew there were going to be Bridgerton references, so I managed to see all available Bridgerton episodes. Don't think I can say it was worth doing it for this, but hey, I got the jokes. Very disappointed there was no cameo though, like with Strictly. So, after last week, this is the final non-Russell episode of the season, which means it has a much higher chance at getting a higher ranking, judging by the past episodes of the season. But let's see if this episode can beat Boom, or if it'll get caught in the shadow of Dot and Bubble's fantastic ending. Either way, the Doctor is probably doing more in this episode than the last two combined, so the chances it's better are probably fairly clear. We start the cold open in 1813 England, in a place called Bath, which other than being a very funny name, seems to be a real place, where Lord Barton, played by Paul Foreman, is being pressured into a marriage with another noble sister. This slight against her purity could either have been him just hanging out alone in a room with her unchaperoned, or banging her very hard against every surface of a room. But that doesn't matter much, as in retaliation for Barton's bitchiness, the other lord menacingly picks him up by the collar and, wanting the drama, uses some form of lightning attack to drain his body and steal his form. Something prevalent from the start of the episode and that continues further on is that the sets are pretty good. The grounds that are used a fair bit this episode look realistic and atmospheric, and the inside of the house, while a little smaller perhaps than most Bridgerton Manor sets, really looks in place. After the credits, we see Ruby and the Doctor dancing, Ruby likening it to Bridgerton, and has apparently been given Chekhov's psychic earrings by the Doctor, allowing her to dance without knowing how, and apparently also having a battle mode programmed. Ruby and 15 are introduced to the owner of the house, Duchess of Pemberton, played by Torchwood actor Indira Varma, who is interested by Ruby, taking her away to mingle with the Ton, but not before encountering feedback from the earrings, allowing the now companionless Doctor to investigate such a strange detail, using his flashy, newly coloured sonic that I love to see in red to point him in the direction of the hot piece of Captain Jack ripoff up there. Ruby is introduced to Lord Barton, who ends up still being as cheesy and off-putting as before.
Oh, you're not tall glass at all, you're half a pie of shandy.
Ruby departs, but finds a painting of what appears to be the Duke's late mother. This portrait, I suppose played isn't the right word, but I'll use it anyway, played by Susan Twist, presumably her last cameo until next week's finale, Part 1. The Duchess is impressed by Ruby, and they see him now talking to a Miss Emily Beckett, played by Camilla Aiko, and the Duchess and Ruby split, the Duchess following a woman outside, and Ruby following Barton and Emily as they leave. The Doctor confronts Diet Jack, accompanied with a string cover of Bad Guy, another holdover from Bridgerton, modern pop songs covered for the time frame. 15 and the now introduced Rogue kind of start flirting. This newcomer played by Jonathan Groff, and while I feel there are missteps with their characters later, the chemistry they have is palpable. Outside, the Duchess makes her way to the gardens, just to insult another lady, I guess, and she encounters a member of the staff, freaking out that she is not only seen, but heard when spoken to. The housekeeper, played well by this actress for such a short time, the creature masquerading as her, doing the same to the Duchess as what happened to Barton.
People look to me as an arbiter of taste.
What? In that dress?
Ruby acts like a voyeur, watching the drama as Barton refuses to marry Emily, unwilling to lose his fortune. But just as it seems he may change his mind, Ruby makes herself known thanks to books falling on her head, spooking him, and she then has to spend time assuring Emily she won't gossip about their time alone.
Oh, this is so Bridgerton.
15 follows Rogue outside where they talk and find the body of the Duchess. 15 seems to be under the impression Rogue had something to do with it, but it seems Rogue has the opposite, taking the Doctor at blaster point, and I really like the design of the weapon here. Ruby continues to console Emily, introducing some words and vernacular that probably shouldn't be around yet, but they have fun together. It's a nice little dynamic for what we see of it. Rogue seems to think 15 is a Chulda shapeshifter, and their dynamic continues to be fun as he leads 15 past the TARDIS and into his nice-looking ship. But it's kind of strange his ship has a bird motif when the villains do as well, which have seemingly no connection.
Why isn't it cloaked?
It's behind a tree.
Ruby has fun dancing while the disguised villains meet up, their dialogue being written well, as they seem to wish to have a wedding. The Duchess creature wanting to be inside Ruby. Well, that just sounds dirty. 15 and Rogue make it inside his ship with a nice little set, and 15 determines Rogue lost someone. But he is trapped in a field that keeps him still while it charges, ready to beam him away. They continue to have good chemistry as 15 is trying to put Rogue on the back foot, mocking him and playing Aussie classic Kylie from the Rogue's speakers. But he repeatedly attempts to shut off while 15 has fun dancing. It's a great scene between the two, but unfortunately the only thing it reminds me of is that one Sharda video. 15 uses the psychic paper, but it picks up on his attraction, Rogue giving in, and after dropping the detail he has a new boss, which I'm sure does tie into something or will tie into something, scans the Doctor, assuming he's a shapeshifter after. The countdown begins, so 15 in a final bid throws his paper at the scanner, I guess, and it shows all his faces, stopping Rogue and giving us a good presentation of the previous incarnations. 10, 13, 1, looking like the floating fake heads from Dimensions in Time. And is that the Shulker Doctor played by Richard E. Grant? Get in! Yeah, I love that. But also, I love that they don't put them in order, so that Jo Martin's placement doesn't need to be figured out when she pops up. Ruby and Emily sneak around and find the corpse of a housemaid, while 15 invites Rogue into the TARDIS.
Oh my God!
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
The scene between them is nice, them both having fun around the TARDIS, 15 asking Rogue to join them. Although I'm not sure if it's more of a gay 2 and Jamie dynamic, or the ish 9 and Jack dynamic, but either way, there is one problem I have with this, and it's that Rogue is only in this episode. The floating is all well and good, but they tease a kiss only about halfway through the episode, and it's just too fast for my liking. I wouldn't mind if a Jack or River Song dynamic came back, and maybe that turned into a sort of romance after multiple appearances, but this is just too rushed for my liking in this show. I get that 15 is more emotional, wears his heart on his sleeve, but my one major problem is just the pacing of the relationship. Feels like it's just so that they can have these points in the romance checked off before the finish. But hey, when this era is licensed off to Big Finish, we can get a box set about the two of them being gay all across time and space, with proper pacing and a bigger exploration of their relationship. The two gays make it back to the dance hall, where they confer with Ruby, both finding bodies, and they assume that Cholda are cosplaying, possibly having picked up Bridgerton TV signals from the stars, however that works, reveling in the drama of their roles, which is another strange coincidence as this came out on Oz Comic Con Melbourne weekend, where one of my mates is going, so targeted at me. Russell T Davies is targeting me.
Oh, it's coming for me! It's coming for me!
So, knowing that Cholda is looking for a scandal, the two men dance, and the scene is actually rather captivating. The dancing is good, the lighting and music are on point, but once they stop, it's time for the not very interesting fake fight. But it ends with Rogue apparently not being a very good actor, which is weird considering you'd think a space bounty hunter would be good at blending in. So he goes right for the proposal. But that's where it gets interesting. Ncuti is acting his face off, as he takes the ring and has to leave the room, Rogue following, but you could read into it that the Doctor has a genuine oh shit reaction to the proposal, as we do see him put on the back foot emotionally a couple times this episode. Many Cholda make it outside while Emily freaks out, and 15 and Rogue get to dash through the grounds from the Cholda family. It's a pretty tense scene that makes excellent use of the sets and misty night atmosphere. 15 and Rogue eventually shake the birds off, but the Cholda don't camouflage again, targeting Parliament and royalty, looking to end the world with their plays.
A little bit of Ziz.
15 changes the triform to take multiple targets, but it'll only work once. And back in the house, Emily learns the truth about 15 and Ruby, deciding to take Ruby's body as it's revealed she is the last Cholda. The main Cholda enter the main hall, taking the main nobles main hostage for their main wedding, and mean to murder them afterwards. But the bride and groom are revealed, Ruby one of them. 15 having to leave and take a second to cry, and since Church on Ruby Road, that's almost half the episodes 15 is cried in, and I get he's meant to be emotional and all that, but it really devalues the emotions of this usually kept together Time Lord. Think of 9, 10, 11, they rarely cried, but when you did, you fucking felt it. But now, every time Ruby gets hurt or things get sad, it just feels like Ncuti was good at on-the-spot crying, and they wrote it into as many scripts as they could. He even does it later again, which would have been far more impactful if it hadn't happened here. Another strange choice is that we now get a flashback between 15 and Carla, where he promises to keep Ruby safe on their adventures. And I just don't know why that's here. It's another point to make that shows why the 6-month time jump in Devil's Court is fucking ridiculous. And it should have been the pre-finale. Because Ruby was shot multiple times in Boom, and 15 didn't have the flashback then. She was strung up and almost killed by Maestro, not then. That makes the whole issue with this season pacing. 2 Dr. Light episodes in an 8-episode season with a nonsensical timeline makes more problems than it solves. The Cholda start the wedding, murdering fools, so after 15 gets a great line.
Good. Good. It's a long time to suffer.
He waltzes in and traps the bird folk, letting the rabble escape. 15 is pissed, but the Ruby there is an imposter. An imposter of the imposter. As in a flashback to what I think is the instrumentation of Poker Face by Lady Gaga,
It's Lady Gaga!
she activates battle mode on the earrings, beating the feathers off Emily, who comes in with a broken beak. 15 starts freaking out as he can't turn the gate off, but Rogue comes in, dropping Emily into the trap and trying to get him to activate it. It's a pretty good scene between the two as 15 struggles, so Rogue tries to save him by grabbing the trigger and switching himself with Ruby. He gets that kiss with 15, and the scene would have been better paced if this kiss was more spontaneous. Like I said, not having the tease from earlier and not having the crying earlier, which would make it more emotionally impactful. Outside as day breaks, 15 sends his ship into the moon's orbit to wait for Rogue. And I just had a thought that considering in Victory of the Daleks, that's where the Daleks were hiding, and that is probably, 150 years later, let's hope it's not left there for too long. Don't want the Daleks running into Rogue's ship, do we? But 15 doesn't know where the portal sent them. I'm attempting to laugh it off like always, but Ruby forcing him to come to terms with it. Which is good, but would work a lot better with a Doctor who, once again, isn't so emotional all the time. They have a final little dance as 15 tells her how much he missed her, and the episode finishes with him looking at the ring he took from Rogue and putting it on, before presumably leaving. So with the trailer for next week, and my top 3 options are Sutekh, Kronos, and I might be clowning, but the Trickster, considering there is a theory that this season is just the final season of Sarah Jane rejigged a bit, which is an interesting point to make and you should look up. And the episode ends with a send-off for the fantastic late and great William Russell, although oddly it doesn't appear on the Disney Plus version. And we must again wait another week. So that was Rogue, a pretty good showing, but once again not without issues. The romance between Rogue and 15, while a lot of it was well written and enhanced with their on-screen chemistry, there were what I felt were missteps, perhaps being too eager to get through as many TV relationship checkpoints as they could, not having the breathing room of multiple episodes, making bits feel rushed or not in their proper place. But I would like to see it explored more in some upcoming seasons. Rogue himself, the episode's namesake, was a very fun character, and as said before, played well by Jonathan Groff. Even if the character is just a watered-down version of Captain Jack, he's played well enough to be a character in his own right. Ruby didn't get that much to do beyond dialogue and being emotional leverage against 15. But Millie Gibson was still enjoyable, and while emotionally I think 15 could have used some tune-ups, Ncuti was still putting in his all. The story wasn't amazing, but I like to think I can tell that Kate Herron and Bryony Redman put effort and passion into this Bridgerton-inspired episode. And it's just too bad we couldn't get, say, a Violet and Eloise cameo.
I cannot think of any cleverer way to say this, but no.
So I'll give episode 6 of Doctor Who Series 14, or Season 40 if you want to be funny, Rogue by Kate Herron and Bryony Redman, a solid 8 out of 10. Just between Boom and Dot and Bubble. I can't wait to see part 1 of the finale next week, and I suppose with the news of a new episode of Tales of the TARDIS, we might get an extra video in the week after. Thank you everybody so much for watching my review of Rogue. And while I did have some solid complaints about this episode, I'm assuming most of the people are just going to go gay, gay, woke, gay, woke gay, gay woke, woke gay. Please like the video if you liked it. Comment down below if you wish or you something you want me to check out after Doctor Who finishes. And consider subscribing to the channel, and if you do, ring that notification bell so that you're told every single time that I make an upload. Once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next review. Bye!
And toast. A little piece of toast. Because there's so much to choose from. There's brown bread, white bread, all sorts of wholemeal bread. It comes in funny packages with writing on the side.